Hi guys, this is a short tutorial where we're going to make animated, simple animations in Photoshop, and they'll be saved as GIF files that they will have action on your digital components on your websites or on your presentations. We're going to do a super simple one. I'm going to start with a background image of a basketball court, and then I'm going to use a basketball. So first I'm going to roll over to Google Images, and I'm going to go ahead and do basketball court, Google Images. Of course, I'm going to sneak to images. And I'm going to go to tools here and then go to usage rights, and I'm going to label for reuse. And now I've got the digital citizenship component inside there that I am using a quart that is proper, is okay to use. Ooh, I'm going to use this one. I like this one. But I'm going to make sure that my size is okay. So I'm going to go larger than 2 megapixels, and let's see where I pop up. It looks like I'm a little more limited, but oh good, that one's still there. So, oh, actually, I feel like this one may be a little bit better. So I'm going to click on this basketball hoop. I'm going to do a control click, save images. Okay, and then the next thing I did is I went to basketball itself, and did a basketball PNG file, and let's see what would work here. I don't have to have such a large image for the basketball because it's going to be a little smaller, so this gives me some more choices. I'm just going to go ahead and go with this one here. So right click, save images, or it looks like I opened in a new tab. Control click, save images, basketball. Now make sure you know where you save it. This is on my desktop. I'm going to pay attention to that. I'm going to say this is basketball 1. I've got a couple of different ones. Okay, so now I'm going to roll back to Photoshop. Go ahead and open your background, which is going to be the basketball hoop. Okay, that looks great. I've got my layers panel flown. In terms of Adobe vocabulary, they use words like panel, which is layer, and then this is docking a panel, and then this is flying a panel. And all I'm doing is doing a click and drag on the specific um, name of the panel. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my layers panel out so we can see it. I'm going to unlock this background a couple different ways to do it. I just get used to telling my students to just click and drag that padlock down to the trash can. Okay, so now I have my background. Um, I've unlocked it. Now I'm ready to go get the basketball hoop. So I'm going to go ahead and file to open. I don't want to open it inside here because I want these to be super flexible in different layers. So now I have my docked basketball image. So I'm going to go ahead and undock that. And we do have to cut around. Now you can do a PNG file, but we know we're good in Photoshop and it's not going to take us very long, so we're going to make a selection area. And because I have a solid color and a white, I can do a function called color range. So I'm going to go up to select, down to color range, and I'm actually going to click on image. Then I'm going to click on my eyedropper with the white. It says basically I want to choose everything that is not white. So I clicked on image, I made sure to click on invert, and then I selected the white. So this will tell Photoshop I want to select everything that is not white. So it makes a nice little selection area. You could always zoom in if you want to check that out. But now we're going to go to our move tool on the upper left hand corner, which is also V on your keyboard. Come back over with my scissors, click and drag. Oh, that's looking good. I've got some fuzziness. I can go back through and decrease that fuzziness. That's what I would do normally. But for the sake of time, we're going to just go with this basketball. So now we have 2 layers. This is a super important concept. So I've got my background layer and I've got my ball layer. The eyeballs is another big factor to this lesson. This is show hide. This is also fantastic for doing when you do big publications. You can choose different background colors and you can use the show hide toggle to show a client this is what it would look like on red, on blue, on purple. Okay, so now I've got this ball. I'm going to start where I would, so I'm going to get a nice arc. Maybe I'll start up here. Okay, and I'm going to Command T because I'm going to make this basketball slightly larger. So this opens my free transform. I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard while I drag the corner so it drags in perspective. And then I might even rotate this a little bit because I want it to rotate in. So I'm just hovering over my corner. When my arrow changes to the two sides, then I rotate a little bit and make it a tiny bit larger just for sake of, it's like a big old basketball coming through. No. Okay, and then anytime I see a check mark on this upper options toolbar, that means I have to commit this transformation before I can move on. So I commit it. Okay, great. Now I'm going to have like 4 or 5 basketballs coming through the hoop. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate this layer. A couple different ways to do that. You can do a control click to duplicate, or you can click and drag that layer 1 down to the new layer icon and it makes the copy. Now, kids a lot of times will say, but didn't do anything, but it's on directly on top. So now I have to reposition where I want it to go. And because it's going to be going into the hoop, I want it to be slightly smaller. So I did a Command T, hold down Shift on the corners, slightly smaller. I'm even going to rotate it a little bit more. Click OK. And now I'm going to just keep doing that. I'm going to do a Shift, Control click, duplicate layer. I just did a little bit different. Okay, now I'm going to move this basketball here. Good. Command T. Coming in. Keep rotating this. I think that's a little. Now it will be difficult. We could totally rebuild this, but because we're working with an image instead of a vector image, we can't very well cut this net out and put it in front. But I'm going to do my best to do a little bit of a transformation. So now I just keep copying and keep copying. Command T, make it a little smaller, rotate it out a little bit. I was just going to decrease my opacity to see if that looks right. Okay, and so now what we're going to do is this is going to come back through. Let's duplicate it. Come back through. I'm going to make it slightly smaller, holding down Shift while I Command T. I'm going to go back to this opacity and ramp it up. Okay, and then I'm going to keep copying that, moving over, Command T, make it a little bit larger, rotate it however you'd like. And then I'm going to do one more, one more, where I'm just going to put it off to the side here. Now you can tell, quote unquote, where you are by practicing toggling your show hide. I'm going to put this down in here. Okay. Up a little bit. And not the size of that one. Now my version of Photoshop does have an intuitive where I can hover hold with my mouse and do a Command T and it will automatically know that I would like to resize this basketball. But if not, you'll have to go layer by layer. So clicking on this layer, one copy, Command T, that's how to change that particular basketball. So if your version of Photoshop does not have the intuitive, then you will have to go layer by layer. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to actually put some text on here. It's kind of fun. I'm going to put a simple one letter. So I'm going to go to my text tool. I have white text. That will work. And making sure 12-point font's definitely not going to do it. Either is 72. Let me go to 150 and we'll start there. Let me go back, excuse me. Okay, I'm going to go to my text tool, making sure my is set to white. I've got a 100-point font, Myriad Pro. Let me go get a different font super fast. New computer, I don't have many choices. So I'm going to make a bounding box where I'd like for it to go. And I'm going to select E. Now this is way not large enough. So I'm going to scrub where I click and hover hold when my mouse goes to a pointer. And it looks like I can even stand to do 400. Now what I'm going to do is duplicate this E, bring it down here, change it. Then I'm going to go to my text tool because I'm going to eventually spell out EAST. So I'm going to put that A right in front. This will make sense later. So now I have the S and the T, so I'm going to duplicate this layer just like we've done. I'm going to pull it out to the side here so I can then go to my text tool, or I can click T on my keyboard and type in S for my, then I'm going to move this on top. It will all make sense later. And one more time, move that S down, T tool, highlight the last letter, move tool, bring it back up here. And then I'm actually going to hide everything but the E to begin with. And so now I have my basic setup. I have a background. I have multiple images. I have resized each of them accordingly, doing Command T or image size is the same place that we were. Okay, each layer. And then now I'm going to get ready to build inside my GIF. So now this is called timeline. So if I go up to window, I will see a function called timeline. So go up to window, down to timeline, and there are two different views. Well, I will pop over. Okay, and I prefer to work in timeline view. I guess we will go ahead and create. So click on create video timeline, and so these are your different views. So you can certainly create your little video. Okay, or I like to toggle back and forth between, this is video timeline, and the next view is frame animation, and I'm going to start with frame animation. The first thing we have to do is start with a blank slate. So I'm literally going to click the eyeballs to hide all of the images except for the background. Now you can see this is where I'm starting with. Now I will change this later, but I will tell you 5 seconds in animation is an eternity. I'm probably going to start with like 0.5 for everything. But now what I have to do is I'm going to literally, well, let's try this. I'm going to do the long way, and then we'll do the short way. So now the next thing I want to do is to make a new frame, and then I want to add my first ball. Now what I'm going to do is make a new frame, and I'm going to hide my first ball, show my second ball, come down to the new frame, which is the little, duplicates the selected frame. Then I'm going to hide, show, new, hide, show, new, hide, show, new, hide, show, there we go, new, hide, show. Then I'm going to go back to here and then go E. Now hide the E, go to the A, hide the A, go to the S, hide the S, go to the T, hide the T, and then I always like to go back to the beginning. So now we have on a bookend, we have the blank background, then we have the ball coming through, which you can see, and then EAST back. And now let's see what 5 seconds looks like. Now these are your buttons. These are your play buttons. Okay, there's our EAST, and I should probably put east at the end, but that will work. Now this has once. The function to do what's called looping, or is forever. So some programs call it looping, where meaning it will continue to play until you stop it. Okay, that's what's called looping. So I'm going to click on forever, and then I'm going to see what this looks like here, and that looks pretty good. I can even make it a little bit faster. So I'm going to select the first frame, hold down shift, select the last frame, and I'm going to choose maybe 0.2 instead and see if I like that. Oh, that's much better. Oh, that's super fast on things. So now I know that my text needs to be at about a 0.5. So I'm going to go individually to each frame and then back to the 0.2. Now there's something one of the last concepts is called a tween. There's something in between. So how many frames do you want to add in between each frame? So 5 is a bit much. So I'm going to go with 2, and it will just make a really nice transition. There you go. And so play around with these, see what you like as far as the tween. You can do multiple frames even between the frames. So now I have it set on forever, now I have it set on stop. Now what I could do is select them all, show them all. The shortcut is to go to your menu here, and then you will go to select all frames, and then you'll create a new layer for each frame. Okay, so you can, I just went through the long version just to explain kind of how the concepts work. But you can also select using your menu and then create using those new layers. So create new layer for each frame, etc. Okay. Now, you can also select frames and copy frames. So if you wanted to go EAST, EAST, you could select these layers and then simply duplicate these frames, copy frames, excuse me. And so you could, without going back and having the show hide option, you could just copy those frames and then click and change and rearrange, drag them however you like inside the timeline formatting. Okay, so remember, we can toggle back and forth. So if you're here and you're like, I don't know what's going on, or maybe you like this. This is more of animation of their Premiere editing. Or you can toggle back to your timeline animation. Okay, so now once we have this saved, okay, so now here I am, EAST. So in order to preserve that GIF, we're going to go up to File, down to Export, and over to Save for Web. Up to File, down to Export, over to Save for Web. And here is where we will choose the GIF format. You can choose the sizes that you like. This is a very large file. Okay, and it also has your looping options on the bottom right. And so now when we click done, it is now a GIF file. And I just broke my cardinal rule of not looking to where I saved that. So I'm going to File, Save As. Oh, here we go, basketball hoop. It's in my documents, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on my desktop. And you can see where I have my GIF file. Then I'm going to click Save. And then let's go back. I'm going to minimize everything. Come back to my recents. Oh, hopefully we're here. Oh, and it put it all inside there. It put it, if you open up a GIF on your desktop, it will put each frame into a PDF. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put this inside of a Google slide. Let's see how that works. Instead of, I could put it on my blog or my website, but I'm going to test this out. Okay, go to insert, and then I'll choose image. Then I'm going to go from my computer, roll to desktop, and find my GIF, and roll in. Let me just move that over. And let's see what that looks like. And you can see that the GIF properties were maintained. And so you can be inserted into any images or in any kind of presentations or digital programs, websites, etc. Thanks for listening.